put my sunglasses on for this video because last couple videos I did, I'm like squinting the whole time. I don't know why this is. Hairspray or something. Well, hi, my name is Erica. Welcome to my channel. I'm just enjoying some nice weather. I wanted to get a shot of myself in front of these bushes again before they lose all their leaves, because I really love the red on them right now. So that would be really pretty, a nice touch. I'm going to do a lot more outdoor videos. Like all of them, I'm not really sure. I made a list of topics. I'm not really sure what I wanted to cover today. So I'm just kind of brainstorm on some of the things I've recently written down. And it is afternoon, and I do find like there is a magic of the morning of getting things like this done early, super early, because I find myself being much more of a channel for inspiration earlier in the morning than in the afternoon. I just feel like there's a different energy in the afternoon. Like there's a lot of energy around and activity. It is a Sunday, so it is pretty quiet here. It's typically pretty quiet over here, but the neighborhood tends to get kind of hectic even on a Sunday. But that could be a topic for today, just tapping into the magic of a morning. It's kind of hypocritical though, since I am recording this at 1:30 in the afternoon, and funny enough, the clocks went back last night, and I didn't even realize that was going to happen until I looked at my phone today and then saw the clock on the wall that said it was an hour later. So technically it normally would be 2:30, which is pretty late in the day in terms of how I would typically want to do something like this. It is a really gorgeous day out though. So if I were to do an intro video, I think what I would want to talk about, like to introduce you to my channel, first of all, I'm into personal development, spirituality, definitely fitness. I'm very big into fitness, just healing, like well-being, wellness in general. That's really what I'm trying to devote as much time as possible to, as I'm standing here with a large coffee. That's another video, I promise. So starting a new channel and all the content that's kind of related out there to the content that I'm kind of inspired by, and I felt inspired to make similar content, and why that is more than okay for anybody else who might want to do that. I think I'll start today's video by talking about that. And the reason it's more than okay is because we all have our own very special perspectives on things. You might, for example, learn how to do something that you're working on, whether it's learning a language or some kind of hobby that you're doing, and you might have had a couple different teachers, and they might like both or all be amazing at teaching this specific type of thing. But sometimes, like, people have different perspectives, they have different types of wording that they use for things. And I, like, for example, so I was taking ice skating lessons, and I'll make this tangent really quick because I'm making a point with it. And I had various teachers because we leveled up after each session. So it would be like a 6-week session of like a half hour on a Saturday morning. I jumped into ice skate lessons on a Friday night after my 9 to 5. And then when I leveled up, the next level class I took was on a Saturday morning. And I always had different teachers for each session that I'm pretty sure that every single session I had a different teacher, and they were all magnificent. But there were certain moves that I was having trouble with, And of course, something with ice skating, you got to be very, very careful to do things properly because you can get injured pretty easily. And I did get injured when I first started. But somebody they can all be wonderful, but somebody can say something about it or about a specific aspect of it that clicks in a way that didn't before. And it has nothing to do with somebody is a better teacher than somebody else. It has nothing to do with any of that. They're all magnificent. They were all great, and I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't pick any one of them over another. Like I think I had a great experience, and it's like a complimentary package of having each one of them been a part of that experience. And I'm on a hiatus right now, so I'm planning on getting back to that. But getting back to what I was saying, so maybe one of the things that have stalled me from starting is the idea that there's so much content related out there that's like this. But sometimes, not sometimes, but every time, everybody has a different perspective on things. So and I continued to find new content of the similar type of content. I find new channels that come to me that talk about the same types of things, but it's like something that somebody says will click in a way that I don't even want to necessarily say, because I don't want to talk about any other channels not, their information not clicking. It's just somebody could say something in a way that really reaches you on a personal level, and that's basically what it is. It's just, that's why they all bring something very big and something valuable to the table. So it doesn't matter if there's a million other people doing similar content. It's really, they're all bringing something very specific. They're bringing their own personal experience, their own life experience, and everyone's bringing their own perspective, a personal perspective to it. And I feel like that's really important, and especially in trying to help people in some way, especially with this energy type stuff. So I think that's a good place to start for an intro. I think just talking about, I think one of the blocks to starting was just understanding that there's so many people out there doing similar content, and I feel like that could really block people from wanting to do this type of work. But understand that everybody has their own message and their own way of bringing their own personal experience to the table with this kind of content, with this kind of work, with their own personal message. So I have things from my own life experience and my own personal ways of putting things that could reach certain people in a new way or a different way than other amazing people that are talking about similar things that are also bringing their own perspectives to the table that is valuable. So that was really roughly put together, but I think you understand the gist of what I'm saying. So that's probably really what I wanted to talk about. I think I'll jump back to more of the intro of just getting started, and I think I was inspired by somebody else to just get started. And also the whole idea of taking anomalous action and just doing something that's really outside of your comfort zone, that's a very, very big deal. And doing that more frequently, doing that alone once, I think brings you such a feeling of satisfaction that I don't want to use the word addiction, like it becomes an addiction. It just becomes addicted to something positive. I think that's something I thought to put that on my list. Become addicted to things that are positive as opposed to things that aren't so great. But taking anomalous action is something that is really powerful. It helps if you're I'm reading a couple books. One of them is, I'm reading several books, but The two that I'm currently reading very consistently are Atomic Habits and Psycho-Cybernetics. I'm trying to remember the author of Psycho-Cybernetics. Atomic Habits, both of their names actually, I will get both of their names and mention both of their names, but both of the books are very complementary to one another. They talk about similar ideas, just in changing your identity. And in order to do that, you have to step outside of your comfort zone. If you want to see different results in your life, in your reality, you must do some different things, and those different things are going to feel very weird to you. And I think that's what deters some of us from making really big changes and stepping into a new identity that could bring you just high levels of success. Just getting outside of your comfort zone, and that means making a video outside where there will be possibly observers, then so be it. Do it anyway, because at the end of the day, everybody's really more concerned about themselves. And the more you can get comfortable expressing yourself and your truth authentically, the more it just leads to other opportunities. And it's just quite amazing the trajectory that it creates. It creates some very potent momentum. And that's really where I'm at right now, because I have really created a lot of great things in my life, and I'm at a point where I want to keep going. I'm kind of like, there's like a next level kind of phase that I feel like I'm reaching, that there's other things that I want, because we make commitments to a lot of other people and situations, but one really big powerful thing is to make a commitment to yourself to do something for yourself. Set some time aside every single day toward a goal that you have, and it could be like the smallest amount of time, and that's coming from the book Atomic Habits. Talks about that, like even if you're going to do a workout but you don't necessarily feel like doing the workout, for example, putting the workout clothes on at a certain time every single day, whether you end up doing the workout or not. It's like the little micro habit that leads to the larger habit is putting the workout clothing on. So say every morning at 6:30, 7 o'clock, maybe you really absolutely positively do not want to do a workout, but you want to be the type of person that works out in the morning. Then put the clothes on, put the workout clothes on, even if you end up not doing the workout, because then you're establishing that habit that's related to the bigger habit, which is a bigger goal that you have. So I just think these things are really cool, and I'm still in the process of reading the book, and I am implementing a lot of these things into my own life and kind of seeing how things play out. Some activity here, so it's kind of like I don't want to let that derail my thought processes. I didn't really have a specific goal for this video. Like the intro video was going to be, I think I like the intro video really discussing the idea of related content and getting started. Getting started, because that's like the biggest obstruction I think a lot of people have. I think that's like that's the most challenging thing I think a lot of people face, because getting started means, well, A, doing something different, B, getting outside of your comfort zone, and C, it's like I think people are looking at it from this giant perspective of the end goal instead of the first step to take to the end goal. So getting started would be just like doing anything. Like if you're a writer, I think the obstruction would be like if you want to become a writer, just be a writer. And the obstruction to the goal of being a consistent writer would be like, well, I have to to be a writer, I have to write, mass amount of things, like I have to write a novel in a couple months. I don't know. I don't really know. Just like something that's just so much more astronomical than it actually has to be. Like to be a writer, you can literally set 5 minutes aside every single day and write literally anything. Like just brainstorm ideas of anything and just put them on paper and make that your commitment, instead of making the commitment that you're going to write a novel or a screenplay or whatever it is in this condensed amount of time. Because I think that's what really blocks people. I know that's what blocked me so much in my life, is trying to have this big end goal be the goal. It was like I have a teacher that, you know, in a screenwriting class that had said, it's really interesting. We had software that we used for class to write our screenplays in, and he's like, when you're I don't want to misquote him, but something about like basically the idea of what he was saying is like when you're in the idea phase or you're just trying to come up with things to write for your screenplay, don't write your ideas or don't write your rough draft in the software. Write it in a notebook, literally write it down in a notebook, or write it like in Word or some program, but don't begin the screenplay in the software. Because one thing about screenplays too is that it's like a word count. So every word matters in terms of the amount of words that you actually want to be putting in there. Like a lot of it needs to get cut out because there has to be a certain amount of words. It can't go over a certain amount of words. So it's like a really weird process, but it's also cool at the same time because it keeps things very short and to the point. When writing a screenplay, it's not like writing, other types of material where you're being very, elaborate and descriptive. It has to be very, very condensed and short and to the point to get the words that you use, choose them very, very carefully so that you're not using excessive amount of words per page. So the reason for bringing that up is because, so if you're writing your rough ideas in the software and then you go through knowing that you have a word count, it makes the whole process so much more complicated and kind of ends up being time consuming and exhausting and overwhelming, I think is the easiest way to put it. It makes it more overwhelming because the idea of putting it in the software is like a finished product. It's like the finished product should go into the software, even if it is still a rough draft and you're going to make changes later. The changes are more like tweaks when it gets to that level. But if you try to put your rough draft from the starting point into the software, knowing that a lot of things are going to have to get cut out, it can make it really complicated and weird because of the way that you have it formatted. So I'm going to have to shorten that whole explanation because that was like a very extremely long tangent, but I think it was a really good point. It would be cool to just look at a couple screenplays or like one to see the format of it, to get the gist of that's a word count, and it has to, like, you have to make the most out of the wording that you're using. So getting back to Atomic Habits, it's just the starting point. I think people look at in the same way of anything that they're trying to do, any kind of goal that they're trying to achieve. It's just like looking at this huge thing, like this has to be a finished screenplay done in this software, formatted properly. What would be the starting point for a screenplay? What do you want to write about? Pick the first thing that comes to your mind that feels the most fun, and literally think of anything related to that and put it on a piece of paper with a pen. Like that could be the starting point. That could be the atomic goal that goes into the screenplay. So it's just really fascinating and it's fun, and it's really cool how we make a lot of excuses for the things that we can't do because we don't have time. If you're sitting around and you're, I I almost say just like sitting around, you're like lazy. I mean, everybody does this, but instead of focusing on something that you want to do for yourself, or you say that you're trying to do things for yourself, but you don't have enough time, and we're always talking about we don't have enough time, there's not enough time, but how much time do people spend scrolling on their phone, on social media, doing kind of mindless activities that don't serve a higher purpose for you? And they certainly don't feed your soul. As a matter of fact, a lot of this scrolling just ends up leading to this comparison trap where you actually feel really bad about yourself. So, and everything is energy, and that's a whole nother video, but the frequency of scrolling, and then you see, somebody else's highlight reel, and then you start comparing yourself to them, and just all the things that can go into an activity like that, that literally just starts as like, I'm just relaxing, instead of maybe making that relaxation time an actual meditation time, like to truly relax. I mean, I'm not against watching a good movie, or sitting and meditating, or listening to music, something that puts you in a really good mood, that's a really high vibrational way of spending your free time, as that would really, adds a lot of future returns on your energy investment, as opposed to mindless scrolling that leads you down this rabbit hole of comparison. And when you're done, you just feel kind of bad and drained, and then it just reperpetuates that whole idea of not having enough time. And it's interesting because, like, when we do that, we are putting ourselves on a frequency that is keeping us stuck. We're keeping ourselves in a state of kind of like arrested development. But if you can overcome some of those things, or at least acknowledge some of those things, like some of these things that we're doing, you would just be amazed at some of the doors that would open up as a result of that. Still record, right? Yeah. So whatever it is that you're trying to do, take some small step toward it. So if you want to be a writer, write anything that, write a dream about I love writing down dreams, because dreams are so weird, but I feel like they have meaning. It's like mystical. And I did that when I was younger. I did that in junior high. And I wish I still had those journals, but I don't know, it's just really fun to try to like analyze what some of your dreams could mean. But it's just an example of, there's something interesting that you could write that doesn't necessarily relate to or mean that it has to be like this larger piece of work that you're trying to do. And don't make it overwhelming. Make it very easy. Make it very easy for you to make a commitment to yourself. We make a lot of commitments to other people, and then we waste our free time scrolling on things that make us, feel worse. Start making a commitment to creating time for yourself. I think that's where I'm going to sum it up for today. Oh, by the way, this is cute because I gotta remember not to throw this cup away because an eye doctor's name is on it. The girl at the Starbucks, she had a really cool pair of glasses on, and I liked them, and I asked her where she goes to the eye doctor, and she wrote her eye doctor's name down, so I thought that was really cool. But just adding something good every single day, and it's like easy, so even if you work a 9-to-5 job and you don't have a lot of time, you could still add something, anything, something good, whether it's like eating a salad, going for a walk, even if it's just like 20 minutes. Like, we don't have to go for an hour of anything either. I think that's another like roadblock. We think we have to like do this huge like workout routine, and then if you go for a walk, you have to go for this big hike. 15 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes, you have that. If you have that to look at something on your phone that doesn't make you feel good, you have time for something that makes you feel way better. And it actually turned out to be a really gorgeous day, despite the fact that it said it was like 54, which to me that's cold, but I'm standing in the sun right now and it is very gorgeous out. So with that said, I'm going to end here, and I might pick back up later, but that's what I'm going to be discussing. I'm going to talk about whatever I'm currently reading, more than most likely. I'm going to probably do the end of this video in the car. I did sort of an ending that I wasn't really happy with. There's a couple guys in a truck down from me, and as much as I still did my thing, and I'm working on this actually, which I've been talking about in all the videos that I've been doing, about just, you know, keep doing my thing even if there's an audience, especially if there's an audience, because I'm working on getting out of my comfort zone so that I can do these things and not even like have that phase me. But I think I want to be comfortable with my intro and the ending to my videos. So I feel like the ending was a little awkward there. I wanted to reiterate the reason for my channel. My goal here is just to talk about self-development, spirituality, health, well-being, really like well-being. I just, you know, in any way. We all have our own things that we enjoy doing, and my channel, I just want my channel to be devoted to helping other people achieve their goals faster. And I'm on the same path. That's where I'm at right now. So we have a lot of commitments that we make to other people and situations, and just, you know, remember to take time out of your day to commit to yourself for something that you're trying to accomplish. You know, and it's easy to argue for our limitations and say, well, I don't have enough time, and there's not enough time, because we're looking at this big astronomical thing. Like, if you want to achieve something or write a book or something, make smaller goals that lead to the big goal. So I'm going to end right here. I just wanted to end in a more kind of comfortable way, because I feel like I do have a little bit of an audience, and I just didn't want to get kind of awkward with my ending. Now, I'm very proud of myself for putting myself out there and doing the video knowing that I had an audience, and some guy on a bike, I thought that he kind of like ran into my car or something. It just does something weird in the middle of me making my video, so that was kind of strange. But my car is okay, everyone's okay, and I just hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm Erica. See you soon.